Yara, it's well known how the English had their heels on Ireland's throat for so many years. The men who used to own their own lands were driven off them. English landlords took them over. Absentee landlords, many of them, they never even spent a moment in Ireland to see the land that gave them their wealth. But the fellows who came over to look over their lands, they were no better. Oh, they tried to fit in, to be sure. But what they thought of as fellowship tended to be condescension. And there's a nasty English trait where you tend to make fun of people. Well do I know this from Larry Connors. Now, Larry was a grand fella, and he got himself a letter. It was telling him he had to show up at the big house. Well, there he was the next day, standing on the doorstep. The poor man, he was nearly in tears. When the door was answered, he came in and it was led into the parlour. And there was the landlord sitting behind a big oaken desk. Well, Larry Connors, says he, you are a bit behind in your rent. Sir, well, you know how it is. Now, the cows aren't giving eggs and the hens aren't milking properly and things aren't coming down. Never mind that, Larry Connors. I know you are a good man and I will give you a chance to even yourself out. You come back here tomorrow, says the landlord, and I will ask you 3 questions. If you can answer them correctly, you can have the land rent-free for the rest of your life. But if you can't, it's the high road to Dungarvan for you, Larry Connors. Now be off with you. Well, Larry was stumbling down the road. His face was so low he nearly stepped on his own nose several times. Didn't he run into a friend of his, Dan McCarty? Says Dan, what's ailing you? You're looking awful down in the mouth. And Larry told him the whole sad story. Never mind the fella up above. I'll go in your place, for you know I was very good at the riddles in school, even though you aren't. Oh, says Larry, would you do that for me? But he'll know. The fellas up there don't know the one of us from the other. I'll go in your place. And the next day, sure enough, there was Dan McCarty on the doorstep, passing himself off as Larry Connors. He was brought into the parlour before that big oak desk. Well, Larry Connors, says the landlord, are you ready? I am, says Dan McCarty. Here is the first question for you. How many cartloads of sand are there around the beaches of Ireland? Sure, sir, there's no trouble there with that one. It's easy. Only the one if you've a cart that's big enough. Well, the landlord had to admit he had him there. But here is the second question, says the landlord. You know I am a wealthy man. How wealthy do you think I am? What am I worth, Larry Connors? Sir, no trouble there either. Sure, I'd peg you at about 29 shillings. 29 shillings, says the landlord, and how do you reckon that? Well now, sir, didn't they sell our Lord Jesus Christ himself for 30 pieces of silver? Sure you're not as good as he was, are you? Well, the landlord had to admit he was bet again. Very good, Larry Connors, says he, but I have one more question for you. And here it is, Larry Connors. What am I thinking? Sure, there's no trouble there either, sir. You're thinking you're talking to Larry Connors, but you're not. You're talking to Dan McCarty. The landlord had to admit he was bet entirely. Larry Connors got his land rent-free for the rest of his life, and Dan McCarty never went with a dry mouth as long as Larry Connors had a penny to rub together.